What's up everyone, my name is Andrew Fung. Welcome back to part 4 of the Python CRM Telegram bot series with Notion API. So just a short recap of the last video. I've shown you how we can successfully connect our Notion database page with our Telegram bot so that we can load all the usernames and user details and send them customized welcome messages regarding their product concerned. So in this episode, we'll be focusing on sending the documents and files to our users, creating the product information directories, and also we want to change the status, customer status from pending to closed, and also record the transaction date. Without further ado, let's get started. Now that the bot can do basic user authentication, let's move on to the next step, which is sending the resources files for different customers. So let me minimize this terminal, and for sending messages you can see that there's actually a lot of repeated messages. So whenever we do messages we have to define these 4 lines repetitively. So let's go ahead and create a function called send message so that things can get even more organized. So let's do send message. So that will take in an item, and also a message. Okay, so when you see the messages, we always define the chat ID, the message, and also the token. So we can copy and paste this part, which is this part. So let's copy, and instead of get request we can change it to post request, because this should be a post request. So we can do the message is here. So first of all we need to go back and get all the chat ID, user ID, and also the username. Okay, and the message should be defined here so we don't have to do anything. Let's cut this, and we can change the welcome message to still this part. So new message, change it instead of welcome message, and changes to post request. So that should hopefully work. And let's just organize this part. So let's change this to send message. So we got the message, which is the F string, and also the item. So let's close this and also remove this. So let's copy, paste, and your previous has been closed, so let's copy this too. We can leave the return for now. And same goes to send message. And also the item. Okay. So we tidy up the send message for different customer message for different customers with various status. So now we move on to setting the actual sources. So we can do something like whenever we detect this pending, we send the message, and then we go do something like send local source files. Okay, so this will probably take in the product name and also the item. Okay, so copy and let's define it here. So send local source files item and also the product code, or maybe just product, doesn't really matter. So our idea is that we can go ahead and first of all here we create a new folder called source files, and then inside we create a folder product A and then product B. Cool. So inside these two files we pretend that we have the resources for product A and product B. In real life, this might be like some test papers, some research papers, or some text material that you would like to distribute to a class, something like that. So that will make it truly automated. So I can just copy some sample PDF file with some gibberish to illustrate my point. So go on to product B, we change this to product B.pdf, and then here we change it to product A PDF. Cool. So the actual content doesn't really matter, but my point is that we can, whenever we detect a customer with the product A and product B, then they will send them all the documents and files within this directory. So what we can do is that we can do first of all a chat ID. So chat ID is simply the chat that they would like to send it to. So we had done it previously here. So we can copy and paste. And now moving on, we will need the directory for different products. So directory. So for example, if a customer chooses product A, it will first go within this source files and product A directory, and then browse all the source files and then send them message by message to the chat. So now we can do operating system dot get current working directory. So we have to first import the OS, import OS, and then we can do plus f-string. This is called source files. So remember, this app.py is in the most base directory, so we have to go into source files and then go to product A or product B, depending on this dynamic path. So we first go into using / and then that should be the product. Cool. So misspelled directory. So now for each file in this directory, so os.list directory, that will show all the files within this directory. So directory, and then f equals os.path.join directory and file name. So that will put in the binary data for the file. So now check if it is a file. So if os.path.isFile, we pass in that directory, that file name directory, then we can do a document can do document equals open os.path dot join directory file name equals to read. We won't change anything to it. So files equals document. So we now create a dictionary called files. So that will be passed to the Telegram bot API so that they know which binary we are sending to. So dot. And the to URL is the post request that will send the URL for the post request that was sent to the Telegram bot to show that we are actually sending a file to the server. So that will be this one. So let me copy and paste. That will be the token and also the chat ID, which with the /send document endpoint. So then we can do response equals request dot post to this URL, and then files equals the files, the binary for that file. And then after we send the file, we can do print f file with the file name is sent. Okay, and between each sending of the file, we can do a short time dot sleep so that it won't feel like a spam. So we can sleep for 0.75 seconds so that it won't feel like a spam bot. So let's do import time as well. Okay, so with this function we can copy the name and then go back to welcome message. So this should send the local source files to the user. And after sending them the source files, we would like to close their request, which is to turn their status from pending to closed. Okay, so that should take another function which is called turn status to closed. So let's define it here. Okay, so let's do define turn status to closed. This should take in a page ID because we have to do some changes to that page. So remember, in the load username function, we also got the page URL, and instead of URL, we want to get the ID for that page, for that user, so that we can change it. So when we turn status to close, we can pass in their page ID. That should be the last item, which is 2. And what this should do is to go to Notion and tell them that you would like to change something, change the pages. So let's go back to the Notion API, and we can minimize this. Instead of querying the database, we would like to make changes to a page. So it should be an update page. And the URL should be this part. So let's copy this. And instead of a post or get request, it should be a patch request. So let's do that now. So inside this, we have to copy the previous headers, and we also need some payload for the changes. So let's copy this, paste, and then for the URL, it should be v1pages.pageid. So this will be a page ID that we have passed in. So changes to f string, and then we will need to define some payload for the changes that we would like to make. So payload equals, so the changes we would like to make is very simple, so that will be properties. When we take a look at the API, we can see the response is that we would like to change the properties, this properties status, and select, and its name to closed. So that should be very straightforward. So properties, and then the status, and then the select, and then the name to closed. So that should be the payload. And some of you may want to understand what time does the customer interact with the user, to know better understand the maybe transactions and what time of day is the most active. So to record their interaction, we can go to this page and then create a new field called date. So that it would just be date, and then whenever we turn the status to close, we will also like to record their time. So what we can do is that we can do something like other than changing the status property, we like to change date, and that should take in a date variable, and the start would be the datetime of now. So datetime dot today. We can format to string format, time to this year y, and then I would just simply copy and paste this format in case I made any mistakes. Minus D, and make sure you also import datetime, which is a built-in library in Python. So this will also add the date to the pages whenever the transaction is closed. Before testing the bot, make sure you made this change. So for patch, you have passed in the headers, but also don't forget to pass in JSON equals payload to make sure you pass in the payload for the request. So I can hit save, and then go to our bot. So as you can see, the date is not filled, so it should be automatically filled, and also the status will change from pending to closed after the interaction with the bot. So let's change it back to product A first. Let's do start. So as you can see, it sent out the product A and then turned the status to closed, and also recorded the date of today, which is October 9th. Okay, So let's try with product B, and let's test if it send out anything first. So let's do start, and as you can see, our previous request has been closed. So without admin access to this Notion page, the user cannot actually re-download or do anything for the resources after their status has been closed. So let's, as an admin, let's change it back to pending and see if it send out product B. So sending product B information, and we got a slightly larger PDF with some gibberish but with some images. Okay, and it also recorded, changed it to closed, and recorded the date of the interaction. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Hopefully you guys have learned something new about sending documents and files in Telegram, and also using patch requests to update the values inside Notion pages. So in the next episode, we'll be covering a way to record all the user responses so that we can have full visibility. If you like this video and would like to see more content like this, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel with post notification on so that you won't miss any videos by me. Comment if you have any questions or doubts, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.